not talking taxes, I'm just talking about the cost of the equipment.
Which means what?
If you went to buy something, you would pay $1,058 for it, right? Is this all for free? So we're paying cents on the dollar for all this equipment.
$1,058,000 what? For all the equipment that's in the bond?
Yes,
That's what we're paying for all the equipment?
correct.
Correct.
So if you take that and divide it by the number of people in town, you'll get
But
it.
that's not what enough people are paying.
I never said that. I don't know
What
what
are
you're
you trying
getting.
to imply?
I'm not trying to apply anything. I was
Well,
just
then
stating
what
how much it's going to cost.
importance is it?
I was just quoting a number.
Okay, all right.
All right. So the other thing is that nobody questions the items in these things. The thing that was questioned, and I believe that there was some debate about it, that said that when the roof was being put up, that the funds were being used for something else. And it says, John Marcayo, if I pronounced that right, said if the council wanted to spend those funds on something else, an ordinance amending this ordinance would need to be proposed. That would mean a second introduction and a second public hearing. He then went to go on and say that confirm the allocation for the roof repair was $80,000 along with unspent money from the salt doors and DPW fencing was spent to finish dispatch center and was over budget. That wasn't the case because the money was spent on
What are you reading
What
from?
are you reading from? Are you reading
the
from?
bond ordinance, the bond activities.
No.
No, but Mike Marceau didn't say that in the bond ordinance.
This was said, I guess, he referred it to TAP, in the TAP
So you're saying
article.
it's in the tap?
Yes.
Okay, you're quoting from the tap.
Well, you also mentioned it here in the town council, but it does say the same thing on the TAP. So I just want to know which one is it? I mean, are we able to reuse it?
Michael, do you want to address that one more time?
I'd be happy to, it's not an agenda item, but if you'd like me to do it now.
Sure, go ahead.
You want a copy of the bond ordinance?
No, that's okay. Basically, I think the gentleman's getting very confused. So there's a big difference between saying, we're just going to move a couple dollars within the same category versus scrapping a piece of equipment and buying something completely different. That's when you need to amend. If you're moving, if one thing costs $5 more and something else costs $5 less, that's fine. There's no amendment required. So what he's getting confused is the difference between completely scrapping what's in the ordinance and buying alternate equipment versus slight price fluctuations because we don't put in the specific cost of each item for that very reason because it's fiscally irresponsible.
And the dispatch.
No, I think that didn't answer the question. The thing was that you had the roof, and instead of spending on the roof, per Ed's discussion, and I have the bond ordinance here, that the money was used for something else.
No, it was used for, it was used for something else that was also a part of that bond ordinance. And at that point in time, the roof was not leaking, and the other piece of the item in the ordinance needed more money. So like I said, when it comes to capital planning, you come up with a budget, you do your best, and you have to fluctuate based upon what the needs are, and things change in a given year.
So
And that's
a municipal
legal.
complex study was where that money was needed rather than the roof?
No, you were talking about the dispatch versus the roof.
No, I'm talking about the municipal complex study versus the roof.
Now, Mike, I think you addressed that. If you'd like to do that again.
Yeah, the vast majority of the projects that were not done, which was the roof, the fence at DPW, and salt dome doors, went towards the overages and dispatch. We did have a small portion of section 20 costs that were covered in that ordinance. They went toward professional services for that purpose, which is, again, it's all in the ordinance. You have to read the ordinance, look at the different categories, see where the money's allocated, and that's where the areas that are spent.
So this is, just to clarify, we're talking about an ordinance tonight that is current. That ordinance that you're referring to must go back to
2012.
Before I'm on the council. So what is it, 2012?
2000.
Okay,
It
so
says
we're not,
2014.
Now, that ordinance, I have a copy of it here for the dispatch. It's 2012, that's correct, Mike?
It's ordinance 10, 2000.
Yeah, 10-2012.
This is 30, 14. Anyway, the point is that the money for the roof And this is what, the only thing that was discussed, and this was brought up by Ed, that the money for the roof was used for something else without an additional ordinance. And I just wanted to make that clear.
Correct, and again, I think what Mrs. Kingsley pointed out was that in that ordinance, if you read it.
47 million, I just want to use my three minutes on.
Well,
You're
beyond
at
that,
6 minutes.
but that's okay. But that's all right, so let Mr. Pacifico respond and then.
If you read the ordinance, right in there, it says, dispatch system, roofing, generators, fencing, and garbage stores. So nothing that was used there was not already listed in that ordinance. That money was used towards the dispatch, which is listed right in there.
I'm not talking the dispatch, I'm talking about the complex study, which is in.
No, you just said the money for the roof was used elsewhere. The money for the roof, as Ms. Kingsley said, went to the dispatch room.
So where did the money for the complex study come from?
Again, Mike, you want to explain it again?
That was section 20 costs that are also approved.
So the money for the roof was the dispatch cost, not this other cost.
Correct.
You have to read, what is that title 20 it's called?
Section 20.
Section
Yeah,
20.
I don't know the exact part of the ordinance, it's in further in the back of the ordinance, there's section 1, section 20 costs, which are for planning, architectural, engineering, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, maybe part of the confusion is he's reading the 14 ordinance for 12 expenditure. That could be part of the problem.
What's the bond at 50%? The 47 million that you're quoting, is that for the poor condition roads only?
No.
Well, that's what we were talking about, is why couldn't we do the poor, I was asking a question, if we had enough money, could we do the poor condition roads only? So where does your $47 million come from?
That's all of the roads in town, which I believe is what you would ask for.
No, it was only
Then
for
I'm
the poor
mistaken.
condition. Because what happened is a lot of people, I've been actually, I've been out there running or whatever, and talking to people, and a lot of people are complaining about the state of the roads. It's across the board, it seems to be the #1 issue. So what I wanted to ask was, if we had enough money, could we do all of the roads at the same time, all of the poor quality roads at the same
Who
time?
determines poor quality?
It's in you have another sheet that I don't have with me, that you have a ranking
Well,
of
I
all the
understand
roads.
that, but I guarantee you, sir, that everybody that walks up to any one of us, okay?
Yes.
Any one of us and says that their road needs repaving,
Thinks they're right.
thinks their road is in the poor category. And I don't blame them for that.
I think this was a report that somebody.
No. There is a
produced.
report that indicates that they were green, okay?
Yes.
Poor, fair, good.
This would be
Okay.
green.
You're absolutely correct.
Yes.
But there are many individuals who believe their street should be in the poor.
Oh, I understand that.
Okay, so in order to get some kind of consensus on that, I don't think you would. Okay, I don't think you would. All right?
Mr. Mayor, the other thing I'd like to point out is that when we bring out a contractor, he's insisting on mobilizing, working in one area. If we bring a contractor out and say, we want you to do one road over here, then we want you to go across town, then we want you to go here, you're gonna get charged every time he's gotta move his equipment. Your cost per road is gonna skyrocket.
I don't know who's mentioning this, though. This is your report. I don't know who did the report here, but somebody from here did the report. Yeah, groups it into categories. So you have by group, which all the roads are next to each other, and those groups have an average rating for the road, for the average quality of the road. In that, you have, a mix between poor roads to good roads. I would assume you wouldn't do a road that has been newly done, but if you have a group that is, in itself poor or
That's
the
what we are
highest.
doing. We are tackling poor roads.
All right,
first.
so the question is very
throw
simple.
something. If you have 4 categories, poor, fair, good, and excellent,
Yes.
and you say, okay, don't do $42 million worth of roads, only do the poor roads, and you say, oh, okay, that's $11 million. Even if we were to do $11 million worth of roads in 1 year, you'd still wind up with the same problems. They'd all go bad at about the same time, so many years from now. You'd still have to raise all of the extra money for them, all in 1 year. You wouldn't get the benefit of $200,000 a year for grants spread out over years. You'd have to only get $200,000, and the rest of the $11 million would come out of your money instead of $200,000 a year for every year that you could get grant money. You're still running into the same problem. It's just not as drastic as 42 million if you did 1/4 of the roads or 1/5 of the roads all in a single year. And then everybody would have to deal with paying for
The poor roads, the thing is though, there are roads and you have a lot of potholes, you're fixing these potholes. I'm sure these costs of these potholes are not free. If you fix the roads, would the pothole costs go down?
Of course, but that's not gonna offset the cost of fixing the road.
That's
Right,
the
thank
same,
you.
that's the same argument as, well, I'm gonna buy a new car to save on maintenance. You know,
And all the poor roads are not grouped in one section. Again, you'd have to hip hop.
But there are sections that are much,
And I think what we look at that, and Bob goes out and looks at the roads and makes a determination.
I just have a question, sir, based upon a comment you made last week. Last week, you made a comment that you believed that we were operating a slush fund. And then you seemed to back off a little bit when I asked you a little bit more about that, because I did take issue with that. The next day, I saw an article where you again were claiming that the township was running a slush fund. Do you still maintain that position?
it depends on what your definition of slush fund.
Lucky you should say that. I have a definition right here of it, okay? And it's Webster's, Merriam-Webster, the amount of money that is kept secretly for illegal or dishonest purposes, a fund for bribing public officials or carrying on corruptive propaganda, an unregulated fund often used for illicit purposes. Now, is it your business?
That's not my definition.
Well,
That's what-
but you see, that's the definition. Words mean something.
No, that's one definition.
Well, what definition do you use for slush fund that you believe?
By slush fund, and maybe it's slightly differently used, but it's basically.
No, it's, sorry,
Let me,
it's not.
you're asking me a question, let me
Sir,
explain.
it's not.
You're asking me a question? or no?
What evidence do you have that anyone up here,
The roof.
hang on,
The roof.
hang on, anyone up here, Mr. Basicolo, anyone who works for us, what evidence do you have that they are
That's your
money
definition.
for
These are your
illegal-
words.
Hang on, for
These are your
illegal or
words.
dishonest purposes, because you
I'm
keep.
not claiming anybody's doing anything dishonest.
You're not, okay, because if you were, I have here also the Union County Prosecutor's telephone number and the United States Attorney's telephone number. And if you believe you have evidence that people sitting up here.
I
are
don't believe
running us
anybody's
down-
doing anything dishonest.
Okay.
My
then let's not-
point is
then
that
let-
the-
excuse me,
that-
let's not use the word slush fund. You can agree or disagree as to how money is spent. We can agree.
In
We can agree.
this room, yeah, I promise not to use it.
Okay,
Okay.
fair enough,
Thank you.
fair enough.